Okay.
Hi, Mara. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. So good to see you on here. You've been busy.
Yeah, I've been busy. Glad I could make it though.
Yeah, me too. It'll be a good one. We'll give people a couple more minutes to get in, and then we'll do our little accountability check-in.
Cool.
See how successful everyone's weekend was.
Hi, Mara.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. Nice to meet you.
You as well.
I just signed the email DocuSign that you sent me a little while ago.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Erin was in here and excited to have you getting started.
me too.
Fun time. We're just going to give people a couple minutes to get in, and then we'll do our little check-in we do in the beginning. There's Wiz.
Hi, Wiz. I'm Mike.
Oh, hi, Mike. Yeah, we met last time.
Yeah.
You
Nice
were
to
in
see
one
you.
of the class.
You have a good weekend?
Yeah, it was okay. How's
Good.
everyone?
God.
We had a baby shower for our son and his wife's upcoming son, who's going to arrive in April. So
Oh, wow. That
Congratulations.
must be fun.
Exciting.
Yeah, congratulations.
a lot of fun.
All right, so let's go ahead and start with our accountability. So for those of you that are just joining us, at the beginning of every class, we like to check in on how many contacts you've made. If you've written any contracts or gone on an appointment, then you can share that as well, because that's all exciting, good stuff. And our goal is that you'll hopefully make at least 10 contacts a day, and a contact is someone that you've talked to either face-to-face, voice-to-voice, text message, instant instant messenger works as well, as long as they've responded or had a mutual conversation. Wiz, you want to get us started?
Yeah, sure. I actually went, this is I think the time where a couple friends already now trying to refer me.
Awesome.
So yeah, so I'm like, oh, this is like, I have 3 of them. One's like from the yoga class, and she's saying her neighbor wants to rent and buy. So she's like, can I give you her card? Like I said, oh yeah, here's some more. So that was good. And another friend who called me saying, hey, my other friend wants to, looking for a house. So can I refer you? I'm like, oh yeah. Like, if not, I can, if you ask her, it's okay to give her number, I can call her.
Yeah.
Like, and another one's online where she's like, oh, so you're really doing this? Like, I'm like, yeah, what do you mean? Like,
Yay,
it's for
good.
real. Like,
Yep.
this is what happened. I keep on posting stuff. And so, yeah, so she's like, yeah, my friend's gonna do it too. So, let me call her and then give your number. So I'm like, so that was, I think this is like the time where already I'm like, yeah, it's almost 2 months now.
No, yeah, keep it coming because they'll all be in different stages.
But
of
yeah,
their
so, but
searches
there's
now, too.
nothing, yeah. So I'm like thinking, but there's nothing actually like a lead yet. So I'm thinking, but hopefully in the future.
Yay. Good. Well, that's so exciting. Good job. So, Bev, you want to go next?
Is that me?
Yes.
Hi. Sorry, just logged in. So what are we doing?
Oh, that's okay. We're just doing our accountability check-in. So how many contacts you had over the weekend and any contracts or appointments gone on?
I did one showing and my clients are dragging their feet on getting their pre-approvals. So we will not be seeing anything more until they get that done.
Yes, that's good.
Frustrating.
Check that off. Yeah. Sometimes they need to get the process started a little bit, but then it's time to get serious.
So that was my weekend.
All right. And Mallory?
Hi, this is my first Zoom call because I just signed with you guys a couple days ago. So I do not have any contracts yet.
Yes, that is totally fine. We just start with making contacts and spreading the word that you're in the industry, which is so exciting. Welcome.
Yeah, I work at a restaurant, so I've been getting the word out. That's definitely for sure.
Good. Mike?
Well, I just signed Friday night. Tim, I'm going with the PC. My updates are I've been an investor for 9 years, so I already have a one deal in escrow and was working on another one. And I met with Tim on Friday to learn a little bit more about his business and the Keller Williams culture. And so that was my second meeting with Tim, and that was awesome. Tim's awesome. I have set meeting. I had a meeting on Friday with a mortgage broker, and I'm going to set another meeting with her for a co-op campaign in March. And then another meeting I'm going to set with Jordan Keck. I texted him this morning, and so I'm going to get with him later this week for lunch. And so just starting to kind of convert my investment side contacts to the broker side, and really looking forward to doing that and working with all you guys.
Awesome. Welcome.
Thanks.
Jason?
Well, I'm just getting started. I got some business cards ordered. I handed out probably 24 of those this weekend. Online, I was contacted by a person who is potentially looking to sell their house, and nothing for sure yet, nothing signed. I have another person who has contacted me about setting up a meeting to show them some property. So hopefully we'll get something going in the future here, but I'm just like a week and a half, 2 weeks in. So we'll see how it goes.
Amazing. Yep, you're doing good. Good job. Thornton?
Hey, yeah, I made a couple of contacts over the weekend and handed out some business cards and talked a little bit of real estate. And no new contracts or listings yet, but the day is still young.
Yes, it is. Great job. Desriel? Okay, Allison?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We're doing our accountability check-in. How was your weekend?
It was very good actually. I went to Portland and I met with a director of like a Brazilian restaurant called Fogo, and they have like over 400 seats. And then he posted like in a big community, Brazilian community about me, and I started getting people adding me on Facebook, things like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it was pretty
Yeah.
good.
That's great. That's super successful.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, great. Well, I think that was everyone. Anyone I missed? Okay, so I'm going to introduce Timothy English then. He was the #1 buyer's agent in the Keller Williams Capital City in 2020. So super large wealth of knowledge in today's topic. He is now an independent agent and opening up his own team within the Keller Williams systems and models, and branching out, currently in the process of opening an MAO office, which is what we call a mega agent office. So he's going to be, you're out of the Dalles, right, Tim?
Yeah, yeah, Dallas over here in Polk
Perfect.
County. Yeah.
So he's going to be really started from being on a team, a perfect example of growing that business, becoming the top, and then going out on your own to achieve those next levels of success. So we're super excited to have him sharing his knowledge and content with us today.
Well, thank you, Mara. I really appreciate it. It's
Yeah.
fun to be at the stage and be able to give back and share a little bit of the journey with other people. I remember very well those early days of going, what do I do next?
Awesome. Well, I'm going to let you take it away. Let me know if you guys need anything.
All right. Very good. Thanks, Mara. Okay. Well, we got a lot to cover, and I know some of you, this is your first time. Others of you have been going through the process. So just bear with me. This is my first time teaching this exact material, and I'll throw some of my own stuff in there, things that I've learned along the way. And you guys can let me know if I don't know, skip anything, things that you're used to doing as a part of the class that I may or may not remember. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys and go off the PowerPoint. Okay, and let's show. Slideshow. Start. Slide. There we go. I don't know. What are you guys seeing my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yes.
Awesome. There it goes. Okay, perfect. All right, so find and win buyers. That's what we are here to do. Not that we have time to share with all this, but I don't know if any of you have talked about with anyone, what is your why? And anyone want to share? Anybody, just like a brief description, anybody know what I'm talking about in describing your why in real estate, or be able to share what their why is? Yeah, go for it, Mike.
Yeah, my why is really about carving my own path and having time flexibility for my family, and then also learning more about the investment side so I can build a buy and hold. Excuse me, buy and hold portfolio.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so you got some financial in there, as well as personal family stuff and personal growth stuff, all that stuff. That's really good. Because what happens is as you jump into real estate, is just like anything else that you do that's new, is going to be hard. There's going to be a learning curve. They talk about the real estate roller coaster, and there's going to be some great highs, and there's also going to be some not so great lows. And the question is, what are you going to do when you hit one of those lows? You got to be anchored in your why. Why am I doing this? And so I want to just share with you a few of my whys. So there's a family photo from a few years back. We've got a couple more in the family since then. That's 11 of my kids and my wife there in the middle. We had Susanna 3.5 years ago, so she's number 12. And then we've had 2 of our kids get married this last year. So we've got a couple more in the family that way. So family's a big why for me. I won't take time to share my story, but my transition into real estate was a little bit of a rough one. Some difficult family circumstances. My mom and stepdad passing away, and you know, trying to support a family, whether you've got 1 or 2 kids or you know, 6, 7, or 8 that are still at home. I was in a situation that was kind of do or die, right? It was the failure was not an option. So that's my why, is what kept me going. So just wanted to share that. All right, so as we get started, expectations and the action reveal for the class today. You guys have your sheets for completing your daily 10-4. Is that correct? I think
That's correct.
okay. All right. So so Mara led you through talking about contacts. How about note cards? Anybody send out note cards? And just feel free to jump in and just unmute yourself. Because what I understand is that you're supposed to is what, 10 contacts a day and then send out 10 note cards a week. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yes.
I haven't done any note cards. I just kind of like been emailing them or texting, but
Okay.
not note cards. Yeah. Or
Okay.
even going happy hour with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, there's just a bazillion different ways to meet people and touch people. You know, the idea with the little personal note card is that it's a little added personal touch that so many people has just kind of fallen by the wayside. So to actually get something in the mail from you with a handwritten note and maybe a business card inside is kind of special. It's kind of meaningful. So just try and make that a habit to think about 2 people a day, you know, Monday through Friday, 2 people a day that you could be sending a personal handwritten note to. You can just get some really, you know, basic blank cards, you know, in a boxed cards, and reach out to people that way. So, all right, so we'll be working through some research statistics today, and we've got a couple of videos to share with you as well. And we'll be doing some role playing on buyer's appointment. All right, so your daily activities, they want you to add 10 new contacts to your database, speak with 10 people in your database, and write 10 notes, and then weekly preview 10 homes. So how's that going for folks? For those of you that aren't just brand new today, were you able to do that?
Not every day, no.
Okay. Okay. How many were you able to add to your database this week?
Me, so far just from the weekend, about 4 people.
Okay. All right. That's good.
4
That's
new
good.
people. So yeah.
That's awesome. Very good.
I have a question.
Yeah.
All of this is in print form, right? Or on a PDF form or
Yeah, it is.
okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's uncommon. Yeah. It's on the
Yeah.
website.
Yeah. So we will, if you don't already have it, we'll make sure and get it to you if you're brand new. So it's just getting into that lead generation habit, that routine of reaching out. You know, Gary Keller has kind of been there, done that, really honed in on the science of the numbers. And literally all real estate is a math equation, math formula. You make those contacts, it will generate a certain amount of leads. Those leads will lead to a certain amount of appointments, and those appointments will lead to a certain amount of clients, which will lead to a certain amount of deals, right? So what you want to have really clear thinking in your head. And, you know, I know life happens, things happen. It still happens to me today. I don't always hit my numbers, but what you don't want to have happen is to skip, you know, to skimp on your lead generation activities and then wonder why you're not getting business, right? It always comes back to the numbers. And so what we know is that for every 12 contacts that you make in your database, that should generate 1 lead on average. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And then for every 5 leads, should be an appointment. So that can kind of tell you what you meant, you know, kind of the volume of activity you may need to consider in order to get that, you know. And what we know, just to be clear on a contact, that is a 2-way conversation around real estate. So it can't just be thinking, well, I'm going to send out this text, or I'm going to make this social post, or I'm going to pass out a business card, or what have you. Those are all fine, but it's only a contact if a person responds back and you guys actually talk about real estate. It could be a very simple conversation. It could just be, are you thinking about buying a home this year? And they say no and don't want to talk to you anymore. That's still a contact. But it's got to be some sort of response. So, all right, let's move on to the next one. All right, lead generation. I guess we're starting right out with jumping on your phone. So you've got page 8. Let's see here. Page 8, lead generating for your business. All right, so we're going to start with a little exercise before we jump on the phones. If everybody will come off of mute, we'll try and do this together. I know it's a little bit tricky over the internet, but if you'll come off of mute, we've got an affirmation to say together. I easily find motivated buyers. Okay, so I'm gonna count to 3, and then we're all gonna say it together. Are we ready?
Ready.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. I
easily find motivated buyers.
motivated buyers. All right, let's do it one more time. 1, 2, 3. I easily find motivated
buyers.
Okay. All right, so just keep that in your head. It's amazing what these affirmations will do. I don't know if that's a new thing to you, but I know it absolutely changed my life when I went to my first Bold and started doing affirmations. It's when you put it out there, your brain goes to work on it, and pretty soon it becomes true. So, all right, so let's get out your phone and either just like your list of contacts in your phone, or if you have another list that you're calling through your database, whatever you got. We've got call time for about 20 minutes to call, and I guess also they've written down here, maybe possibly do some handwritten notes. So the goals, the call for 20 minutes, make contact with as many people as possible. Goal number 2, ask for referrals from each contact and offer your Keller Williams app if you've got one. And goal number 3 is to secure an appointment. Go ahead and go for it, right? So I'll teach you when we get a little bit further on. I'll just mention it now, so hopefully you can implement it in your call time. But a really great closing statement that I learned along the way is, no matter what they say, even if they say, I hate you and I never want to talk to you again, you say, great. Sounds like we should get together and talk about the home buying process. I can share with you some market information and we could look at some homes. How does that sound? All right. So no matter what, whatever somebody's response is, you're just always going to say, great. And then lead with, so here's what I recommend we do. Let's find a time to get together and go over the home buying process, look at some market statistics, and I can show you some homes. Would tomorrow at 4 work, or Thursday at 3? Give them 2 options that work in your calendar and set an appointment. It's just as easy as that. So, all right, so go ahead. Let me check the time here. We are at 1:25. So at 1:45, we will reconvene and talk about how that call time went. Just be prepared to share how many people you were able to talk to and if you set an appointment. All right, so ready, set, go. All right, well, if you guys can hear me, we've got about 1 minute left in the call time. So finish up the call that you're on and turn your video back on when you're ready. All right, we see a couple of people back on video. If other folks could turn their video back on and come back in the room. Call time. That would be great.
I'm here.
All right. Waiting for a couple more people. Make sure that we have everybody back. All right, well, as we get our last couple of folks back, one by one, I guess I'll start with the way it is on my screen. Mike, you want to share first, how did your call time go? How many people did you talk to? And did you set any appointments?
Yeah, I talked to 3 people. Courtney, who works with my wife, and she is a current homeowner, but she and her fiance want to buy a larger home.
Okay.
And already knew about that, but hadn't talked to her about it. So I have an appointment to meet with her Saturday and her boyfriend.
Nice.
And the biggest question there, she has great credit. His might be a little iffy. So I told her that the first thing you want to do is get your pre-approval, get pre-qual, and find out where you're going to be at, what you can buy, what kind of rate, that kind of thing. But we're going to talk about that Saturday. Called an old friend of mine, Kevin, who we actually used to rent his house in South Salem about 8 years ago. He has not lived in that house since. It's been a rental of his. And so I called to ask him if he is interested in selling it. He's mildly interested, although he likes the idea of keeping the asset.
Right.
He's more interested in using my services to find some an investment property or a vacation property.
Okay.
A trailer he'd like to find, even if it's a bare piece of land with utilities that he can park his trailer out and they can go fishing and that kind of thing. And then third one, Amy, friend all the way back from high school. She's the manager of a carpet flooring store. We've used her in my investment business before. She and her husband live in a rental that they've put a lot of equity in already. And are considering buying it on maybe private contract or using broker representation. They're not sure yet. The owner of the house is a vendor, is a installer partner of her business. And that guy's wife is a mortgage broker. So I think there's some legs there. And she said, even if we're not going to buy right away, Mike, you'll be first on our call list because we get a lot of people coming through with our carpet business. So
there you go.
So
awesome. Very good. All right, next let's go to Wiz.
Yeah, I made 12 calls, but only 3 answers, 19 answers. So one of them is actually, I was gonna keep in touch with him anyway this month because he was gonna look for next month. Okay. He told me last year, back in December, he's gonna look for a starting, this is a first-time buyer. So he because he needs a new pre-approval. Okay. So he wants to wait until next month. So I talked to him, just kind of touch base where he is right now because he got a new job a couple months ago. But yeah, so he said he's gonna look for another lender and get a pre-approval next month.
Okay.
And so the other two, they say that they don't need my service right now, but I asked them for a referral. So yeah, that's
Right.
it.
No, very good. Excellent. All right, Allison.
Hi. So actually, my wife just had a client that she's from Mexico, and they make a good money. And she was telling my wife that her dream was to buy a house, but because they came from Mexico, she didn't know that they could pay like a finance. And my wife was saying, no, you can't do that. Talk to my husband. Then she just texted me like 5 minutes before the exercise. So I was calling this lady, I was explaining her everything, and she got like surprised that she can buy a house because they have the money, but she thought she has to pay like everything like in one time.
Yeah.
And I spent actually the most time just speaking to her, explaining everything.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right.
that was it's a good one.
Yeah. Awesome. So, what's your next step with her?
I'm gonna try to find a lender for her that speaks Spanish as well because they don't speak English.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be like showing some house to her and everything because they have like kind of like 200,000 saved to buy a house because they were thinking like a 400,000 house, but they were waiting to the other 200 to pay it.
Wow.
So they have
That's
everything,
awesome. Yeah.
And
All right. Well, yeah. So, make sure you get them connected to a Spanish speaking lender and get that pre-approval and know what they can do. So awesome.
yeah.
All right. Thornton, how'd call time go for you?
It went pretty good. I checked in with someone I spoke with over the weekend. They were supposed to pass my number on to a first-time buyer. And I just checked in with them. I didn't actually speak to the person they were referring me to. But just checked in with her. And then I spoke with another friend of mine who's actually a first-time buyer and still just working on him. He's starting a business, but just wanted to touch base with him and just, remind him that he needs once he gets his business up and going, that, start thinking about getting a house instead of renting.
Okay. Very good. All right. Jason.
Yeah, I called 6 people. I was able to contact 4 of them, James, Sarah, Jacob, and Kevin. They were old ex-employees of mine.
Okay.
And I just spoke with them about, if they're interested in buying a house. They said they're not, not looking for a house right now. None of them were. I just gave them my contact information and told them, let's talk about it when you're ready. Give me a call. But that was about it. Pretty quick.
Okay. No, that's good. That's what we do. Yeah. Just mining. So good job. Yeah. All right, let's see who else. We've got Beverly.
Hello. So I obtained some leads from a Facebook ad that I ran. Excuse me. So I was just going down the list and doing my weekly rotation of calling them and getting in touch. And what I think I called 5 or 6. I sent a few emails. One person picked up and he said he's not ready yet, but that he would love for me to add him to my email list and keep in touch with him, and he will reach out if he sees something in the meantime that he likes.
Okay, very good. Good deal. All right, Desiree. Desiree, are you with us?
Yes, I am with you.
Right.
I'm just not in this program.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of listening. I have like a different program. I'm with The Place.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
They just sent me a couple of these links that I could listen to in for free.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
Some of the information you guys are going through as far as that book goes, like I don't have one of those, but I'm just more or less trying to just listen and see what you guys are talking about.
Okay, very good, very good. And just know The Place is a great network. On the previous team that I was on, they were a part of Place, and so I'm familiar with their culture and standards and whatnot. And what I'll be teaching today is very much compatible with what they will be teaching you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we just got started. I got invited to a team, and we haven't actually started with our, I guess like how you guys start the Ignite like program, but this is just supposed to give me kind of a head start to the place.
Yeah. All right. Very good. All right. Well,
Thank
thanks for jumping in and sharing. All right. So we'll keep moving. So buyers are fun. You know, it's relatively definitely easier to find buyers than sellers, both just in general and then also with the market that we're in, that's for sure. And servicing buyers is pretty inexpensive. All you're talking about is putting gas in your car, right? Or maybe buying some balloons to put on a sign for an open house. Not a lot of money involved in terms of servicing your buyers. And then earning with buyers is pretty quick, right? It's you get them under contract and you're getting paid 30 to 45 days later. So the question then becomes converting buyer leads to appointments. All right. So we're finding buyers through lead generation, and NAR says that 88% of buyers purchase their home through a real estate agent. 40% of buyers found their agent through a referral from friends or family. 12% of buyers used an agent they used in the past, and 9% of buyers found an agent visiting an open house. So let's brainstorm a little bit. Where are we going to find these buyers? Just pop in, come off of mute, and just throw out some
Mortgage
ideas.
brokers.
Okay, mortgage brokers could send us leads. All right, where else?
Friends and family.
Friends and family, very good. Where else?
Old places of employment.
Yeah. Places of employment.
Social groups, church,
Yeah.
schools you went to, college.
Very good. Yeah, all the different organizations, associations, all those different aspects of your life. Yep, excellent. Where else?
Wherever you do volunteer work.
Okay, yep. Volunteer. Any more? Anybody have any more ideas? Those are all
Rotary chamber
okay. Yep.
and any networking groups, BNI.
Right.
You can get in one.
Yep. All right, those are all really great ideas, great places to meet buyers. A few more for you if you're just jotting down notes. One is open houses. Now, I know we're coming out of a pandemic, and for a while we couldn't really do open houses, and then we did COVID protocol open houses, or we were doing virtual open houses for a while through Facebook Live and other media and that type of thing. But open houses are a great way to meet buyers. They're coming to you, and they've already raised their hand by the very fact that they're there. And they're going to be one of two people. They're either going to be a buyer, or they're going to be a potential seller who's maybe a neighbor checking out the house to see how that house compares to theirs, and thinking about selling. So you can ask them some questions and find out kind of which camp they're in and find out if they're a buyer. But open houses is a great way to do that. So I'm going to put a plug for Gary Keller's book, Shift, if you don't already have Shift. Great book. And on page 71 of that book, we'll show you how to do a very effective open house. And so it shows you 7 levels of how to do an open house. And you need to do one at least at level 5 in order to really have a good amount of success at an open house. All right. So you've got open houses, you've got all of those other things we've said. One of you, I think it was Beverly, was doing had a Facebook ad, or just, you know, reaching out through social media, either, you know, actively or just staying in contact with your people. You might, you know, find out through somebody's post, or reaching out to them through Messenger or any other social media means to communicate with folks, to find buyers that way. All right. So I'll give you just a couple more pointers on open houses. So holding an open house can be broken down into these steps. Number 1, preparation. 2, marketing. 3, connecting with guests and asking for their contact information. And then 4 is the lead cultivation and conversion follow-up. So just briefly, basically what it'll mention in Shift, and I'll just share a little bit of that with you. This is going to probably sound maybe a little bit silly, but it really, really works. And so here's one of your free takeaways. All right. Balloons. All right. When you put signs out for an open house, people may or may not see the signs, but if you'll get 2 or 3 helium balloons that are waving in the breeze, it will draw their eye when they're driving by, and they will see your sign. They're more likely to see your sign, and they're more likely to come to your open house if you got balloons. It's crazy. They've proven it with market data. So I go to a dollar store, right? Just get $1 helium mylar balloons. I'll get them in like white, black, and red, you know, Keller Williams colors, and I'll just get, you know, a few sets of 3 balloons and tie them to my sandwich open house signs. Really, really inexpensive way to draw attention to your signs and drive more traffic to your open house. Other preparation things to do, they talk about door knocking the neighborhood before your open house. Either just, you know, getting door knockers, or you can just have little simple, you know, quarter sheet cardstock things printed up that have the information about the open house, and go there the week before the open house and stick them in everybody's door, knock on them, talk to a few neighbors. Neighbors are always very curious and somewhat protective about who comes into their neighborhood a lot of times. And so they'll want to come over and check out the open house. They may get on the phone and call some of the people that they know and let them know about it. And so one great way to drive more traffic to your open house is door knocking the neighborhood of like at least 50, if not 100 homes in the area. All right, so that's, you can also, if you've got a dialer or some sort of service that way, you can call into that general area and talk to actual, you know, talk to homeowners in the area and let them know about the open house. Of course, you want to put it on social media and blast it everywhere. It'll also show up through, well, if you've got the listing, you can put that through the MLS, and they'll market that you're having an open house at your listing. But if you don't have that, you'll just need to go through your own social media marketing and make sure it's out there on the various websites that you're holding an open house. The other thing to do if you're doing an open house is be careful what kind of open house you're holding. And what I mean by that is you typically want a house that is in the middle of your market pricing. So kind of a median, what's your average price point in, well, anybody have any guesses? What's the median price point in Salem right now? Does anybody know?
400,000.
Yeah, roughly plus or minus, that's about where we're at. And so, if you do an open house, say at 800,000 or $1 million, that might be really fun, but you're not going to get very many buyers at that price range, right? Or conversely, you do an open house on, say, something that's at the very bottom end of the market. Yeah, people can afford it, but what you're going to end up doing is attracting a bunch more buyers at that price range, which is a difficult price range and going to be really hard to convert that into actual deals. So the most effective way is to make sure that you're holding an open house on something that is plus or minus $50,000 of whatever your median price is. That's where most of your buyers are going to be, and most of your inventory is going to be. Second thing, consideration in holding an open house is visibility. Not that you can't or shouldn't hold an open home that's buried deep within a neighborhood somewhere. But the more visible you can be, the more you can be, in an area that's going to get more drive-by traffic, the better. So just keep that in mind. If you got one that is kind of buried in a neighborhood, you're just going to have to use more signs, right? Just, lots and lots of signs. So those are just some tips in holding an open house. Okay, we are going to watch a video called Find the Motivated. So give me just a second and I will get that and share it with everybody. All right, almost there. Here, share screen. Where's it at? Okay, come on. Is that where I'm at? Come on. Where did I just put my video? Had it. No, that's not it. Where did I put it? No, I'm going to open it up again there. See if you guys. Okay, can you guys see that? Am I sharing it with you?
Yes.
Yes.
You see it? Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Here we go.
I don't hear the sound.
Okay. Who wasn't hearing the sound?
I wasn't.
Is everybody
can't
not
hear
hearing the sound?
Yeah. Can't hear it.
Did I hear somebody say they weren't hearing sound?
I can't hear it
I
either.
can't.
Yeah, I can't hear it.
Okay. Well, yeah, I've got sound. My sound is on, and I'm not muted. Sharing screen. Audio settings. Let's just check here. Speaker volume. At all. Let me know if you still can't hear it. I'm going to try it again.
No sound.
All right, still
Yes,
no
still
sound?
can't hear it.
You still can't
Yeah,
hear?
still no sound.
Okay, well, that's frustrating. Let's see here. What can we do about that? Let me try. I'm wondering if it had to do with how I shared. All right, let's try it. How about that?
Still nothing.
Okay, well, I not sure.
You're not the only one. I think a couple people has been having problem with sharing videos.
Sharing videos. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. You get me instead of the video today. How about that? All right, so how do I find the motivated? So in Keller Williams, we talk about being prospecting based and marketing enhanced. So nothing wrong with Facebook leads and other ways to try and find buyers online. However, if you're not careful, you can end up spending a lot of money. And so much better, especially when you're starting out, to just do the hard work of prospecting and finding more natural leads, because not only will they cost you less money, they will actually be more likely to do business with you than somebody off of the internet who doesn't know you from anybody. Okay, so I know a lot of people kind of get it in their heads that they're a little bit freaked out at first to talk to people that they know, particularly family, about them starting up this business in real estate. But seriously, it's the people that know you who are the most likely to do business with you. And a lot of times we just kind of, I don't know, we tell ourselves a story in our head of what we think, how we think the conversation is going to go, or we're afraid of rejection or whatnot. And really, it comes back to a mindset. And you're going to hear me say that probably a couple more times today, about mindset going into the buyer's consultation, because it really boils down to whether or not you believe in yourself, whether or not you believe in what it is that you have to offer. If you're afraid and you're just kind of operating on this, imposter syndrome or whatever story it is that you're telling yourself in your head, then that's what's going to end up playing out and kind of create a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if you'll, do the work, find out the market stats, do your homework and become as knowledgeable as you can, and then project confidence when you go into talking to people, that's what's going to become true. So it's not about the people. They're not going to reject you. They're not going to bite your head off. It's more about kind of your mindset, of what you're bringing to the table and how you're relating to them. So probably my biggest advice to you is learning to just get comfortable in your own skin and just be you and be authentic and be as prepared as possible, but overcome your fear and just make those connections, and don't prejudge yourself, don't prejudge the other person. Just make the connection and see what happens. Try and be as emotionally neutral as possible. A lot of times we tell ourselves something and then we get all worked up with these emotions around fear or whatnot, and it's just not true. A lot of it's just not true. So as much as you can get out of that kind of thinking and have a mindset that's positive and confident, and that really one of the best things you can do is just think about, why should a person do business with you? In fact, let's just spend a minute on that. Whoever wants to jump in, let's say I'm buying a house, why should I do business with you? All right, Mike.
I have 9 years experience in real estate investing. I have put my own money on the line. So my numbers have had to be accurate. I provide very, very detailed comps for a buyer. And I know what to look for in a house and the pitfalls to look for, both physically and potentially from the business side. So I can confidently represent a buyer.
Perfect. That's awesome. That's going to give them a lot of confidence. All right, who's next?
I think for me, that is what I'm fearing. Like, I don't have enough knowledge, I guess you said. I was in the banking business for a while, for almost 15 years, and then I stayed home for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
So now going back to work, it's kind of like, I feel like sometimes that's my fear, I guess. Like, not enough knowledge. I feel like that's in my head, but
Sure.
then I always like telling myself, like, no, you have like a lot of people who still believe in you, and I know you can do this. Like, and my husband keep pushing me, so it's kind of like, yeah, I can do it. Like, so sometimes that confidence get me, but
Yeah.
most of the time I fear it. Like, why
Okay.
would they want to use me? Like,
Yeah.
that's why I want to know a lot more about it. That's why
Yeah.
it's like, I have to
All right.
learn.
Well, what are a couple of things, I'm just thinking about, you just mentioned all your banking experience.
Mhm.
You're going to be able to help them on the financial side, crunch
Yeah.
those numbers and make a smart decision
That's
for
why
their
I can push.
finances, right?
Yes. And my husband's a lender, so we kind of like, he pushed me, like, go through it. Like, it's easy, you can do it. Like, that's
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
so that's when I push it through. Like, I know this a little bit more knowledge in that side. Like,
Okay.
but
And here's the thing I would challenge you with, Wiz. Yes, knowledge is important, but I would also say character is either equally or more important than the knowledge. You can get the knowledge, right?
Mhm.
But are you an honest person?
I think so. I mean, I would
Okay.
think so. And a lot of
Are you
people
gonna-
trust me with,
Right, to the best of your ability, you're gonna do right by people, right?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
That's why I feel like, hopefully, like, this will go smoothly, because people still trust me, like, in the financial side, and they know, like, that side of me. So
Yeah. So people write this down. You'll hear it more than once. People do business with those that they know, like, and trust. Right? That's who people do business with. People they know, like, and trust. So the more, it's not just about being friendly, but it's about being able to be authentic and make those connections with people that cause them to want to know, like, and trust you. Right? So if you're that person of integrity with character, then, in your head, you could be telling yourself, even if you don't have a lot of experience, you're saving them from the bad realtor. You're saving them from somebody who doesn't care about them, or is just looking for a paycheck, or is not a person of integrity. Does that make sense?
yeah,
And
and I keep it. I have to put that in my head.
Yeah, just keep that in your head. Hey, I'm saving people from working with someone who's not going to care about them. I'm saving them from the bad realtor. Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Because I didn't come from a business background. I came from a church ministry background as a pastor. So I had good people skills, but I didn't know anything about real estate. But yet here I was needing to provide for my family, and you can figure it out, right? You can learn from people, you can read stuff, you can go on the internet and look up whatever, and you can work hard and learn stuff, but it's hard to, you can't just, create character or integrity overnight. So if you've got that going for you, you've actually got most of what you need, and then you can always add the knowledge as you go. But just really, just add that, to your affirmations of what, keep telling yourself that as you're working with people. So, okay, let's keep moving. All right, so finding the motivated. Biggest thing is your database. Biggest thing is making sure that you keep adding to that thing. Again, Gary Keller knows the numbers, basically tells us if we have a database of about 200, we can expect there to be about 12 deals a year in that database. Okay, so feeding your database and making sure you have up-to-date information on your database is going to be absolutely crucial to kind of bring you a foundation, a nice steady stream of business that you can build on. Does that make sense?
I have a question. Is that database, is that like the Excel? I guess I can turn my camera on right now, but I have to leave here in a moment. But I have like an Excel spreadsheet that was sent to me that has like a pipeline and like something else. Is that what you're referring to, or is this database something else that you create on your own?
Sure, good question. I think if they sent you the one for your pipeline, that's probably just where you're going to put your leads. But I know,
Okay.
And if you're using Place, you're probably going to use Brivity as your CRM.
Yeah, that's what I've been using.
Okay, so Brivity is your database.
Okay.
Whatever
Okay.
names that you're putting in there.
Got it. I didn't know if that was something else.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people, I just started with plugging names into a spreadsheet and eventually, downloading that into KW Command and using that CRMs through KW it's free. But yeah, so if you've got 200, you could expect about 12 deals. And then, like I said, from there, you go on to, doing your open houses, doing other types of marketing, trying to get your name out there, trying to get referrals, trying to network with lenders and other people who might be able to send you leads. But really start with your database of regularly connecting with them through phone calls and emails and events and all that kind of stuff through what, is called the 33 touch program, and the deals will pop out. They definitely will. All right, you are in the information business. You're prospecting for buyers. You're going to be asked questions about the market, and obviously want to be prepared. So we've got a few questions to talk through, and I want you to think about how you would answer to some of these questions. So first question, what's available in my price range? Next, somebody, you're in a conversation, somebody says, I don't think I can afford to buy a house. Or I'm thinking about waiting until next year. Or they ask you, can you help me find investment properties? All right, let's start with those four. Think through what your answer might be, and then I'm going to come around one at a time and call on you and see what your answer might be to one of those four statements. All right. So Beverly, can I pick on you first?
I guess so.
All right. What question or statement do you want to answer?
The one who doesn't think that they can afford a home.
Okay. All right. You're talking with me and I say, I don't think I can afford to buy a house.
My internet just glitched.
Oh,
Can you say
All
that
right.
again?
Sure. Beverly, I don't think I can afford to buy a house. What would you tell me?
I would probably direct you to a loan officer and let you know that there are plenty of programs and different types of loans that they may not know about, and that a loan officer can gather information and they may be surprised at what they can afford, and if not, what they can do to get themselves where they need to be.
Very good. Very good. One thing added to that would be how you do the handoff. So make sure that you just get them permission to have your lender give them a call.
Gotcha. Yep.
So then we're staying in control, staying in control of the process, not leaving it up to them to call the lender, but we just go ahead and get permission and even find a time, say, hey, are you available this afternoon? Find some window of time. Hey, when is it best for them to reach out to you? And if you've got, somebody you're already thinking of, that's even better because you can let them know who it is that's going to be calling them.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of the fear out. So excellent.
Thank you.
All right, Jason.
Yeah, my answer to someone who is saying, I'm thinking about waiting until next year, I would tell them that the prices change constantly. If they wait till next year, it might be a little bit more expensive for them. Right now, the mortgage rates are really low, and it's a good time to get that locked in to buy at a low rate. And the housing market is hot right now. And
Yeah, those are excellent, right? I mean, two things, right? It's the interest rates are going up and prices are going up. So if they wait till next year, it's just going to be more expensive.
More expensive for them, cost them more.
Right. So then what you'll want to do then is arm yourself with the actual numbers.
Actual numbers and a good mortgage company to contact,
Yeah.
finance.
Right. So be able to say, well, right now, what I've seen over the past few months is that prices are going up about this much a month. So on, a home that you're looking at 400,000, next month, it's going to be 404,000, or, a year from now, it's going to be what, say 12%, 40, basically 48. It's going to be 448,000 next year.
Yeah, get all the statistical facts for them and
Yeah.
give them those.
Yeah. How about this one? Because somebody will just say, this is kind of dovetails on what I don't think, I'm thinking about waiting till next year. Well, let me ask you this. What is the biggest reason that you guys hear out there of why people are waiting till next year?
For prices to go down.
They think
it's gonna crash.
They think it's going to
bubble and
crash.
it's
They
gonna
think it's a
pop,
bubble.
yeah.
They think it's a bubble and that it's going to crash, and they're waiting for the crash, right? Well, let me tell you, it's not a bubble, and it's not going to crash. And here's what you can explain to people. This will be worth the price of the class right here. Okay, you can take this one to the bank. Refer them back to the crash in 08.
Mhm.
And that was because of bad lending practices. And then what happened was,
mortgages, yeah.
right? Okay. Then what happened was the recovery was so slow that it caused a lot of builders to go out of business.
Yeah.
And during those 4 to 6 years of recovery, there were about 4 million homes nationwide that did not get built that otherwise would have been built. And so we are behind in supply. right? So then you
Yeah,
can,
they can't build them fast enough now.
they
I
just
mean,
can't, right, they just can't build them fast enough. We are behind. We're about 5 years behind where we need to be for supply. So you add to that, the pandemic comes along and sellers get scared of selling either for health or financial reasons. So they stay put, which takes even more inventory off the market. And then the government lowers the interest rates, or the Federal Reserve lowers the interest rates to improve the economy, which brings out a ton of buyers. And then what you can do is, yes, you can share that market data with you, which makes you sound really smart. And then instead of just telling them, just ask them a question. So with that lowered supply and that increased demand, what do you think that's going to do to prices?
yeah, exactly.
So then by asking them, they have to answer the question and admit what it is that you're telling them, instead of you just telling them and then they want to throw objections to it or not agree with you. By asking them the question, it sets them up to answer it for themselves, and then we're all on the same page in terms of the facts, which is it's about supply and demand, and it's not necessarily going to get any better. So the best thing to do is to buy as soon as you can, because then you get your foot in the market and start being on the right side of the financial equation of building that equity.
Yeah, the sooner you get in, the better.
Yeah. So no, good answer. All right, Mike, I think you raised your hand.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna, like you said, some of these things kind of dovetail together. Someone who is renting right now is going to be, in the next year, is going to just throw away another $18,000 to $24,000 in rent. That's an expense. What people have a hard time getting through, especially new buyers, is that this is not an expense. It's a savings account that appreciates, certainly better than your bank account. Yeah, there's some dips in the market here and there, but historically, over any reasonable period of time, you're going to see appreciation. So it's an investment. It's not an expense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and holy mackerel, where else are you going to be able to save $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month is what you're making in equity right now? It's crazy the amount that you're making off of that. All right, Allison, which question do you want to answer?
What's available in my price range?
Okay.
Like you mean like this, if they have already the pre-approval, or like before that?
Yeah, well, let's just say you're having a conversation with somebody and they're just kind of casually say, well, I'm just curious, what's out there that would be in my price range. So there's something, maybe they've been to a lender, maybe they haven't. Obviously you'd want to ask them, okay, so what price range are you looking at?
Yeah, so we'll see like what kind of house they want, like 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms. And then when they get a target, then we say, okay, so let's go to the next step, go to a lender, see what they can get to. So
yeah,
try to guide them like step by step until get a pre-approval.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. You want to basically start qualifying them as a buyer. So you're asking some of those questions about what it is that they're looking for, where they're looking, and even, probably the most importantly, when would they like to be in their new home? Because that goes to motivation, how, finding out how motivated they are, if they're just curious or if they're actually really, really thinking about it. So that's good. Quiz, how about you?
Well, kind of like that. Can you help me find investment properties? But I would like ask them again, maybe. Yes, I could, but what is your goal? I would ask them what's their goal is, like what on top of this, their big goal is.
Right, because even that supersedes, because there's different kind of investment properties, right? It could be a rental, it could be a flipper, it could be a vacation home. There's a lot of different things that they could be doing. And so, yeah, first of all, what's the financial goal? And then you can begin to look at what's the best vehicle in terms of investment properties to help achieve the goal. And then, you know,
Go from there.
and go from there. Yeah, absolutely. All right. All right. So let's keep moving on. We've got some terms here that we want to make sure that everybody is aware of. So in your information, you should be on, I'm on page 15. I don't know. Are you on page 15? List the sales price
Yes.
is on market. Okay. All right. So
Tim, I got a question.
sure.
Is this something I can find online? I just signed my agreement for the coaching.
Tell you what,
It's
let
before.
me,
It
I
is
could-
online, but you can go to your market center and they have a binder for you.
You mean physically go down there and get it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I haven't had time to get down there today.
But it is online, I heard. They're saying it's online.
yeah, I have I've got the instruction manual downloaded that I could have sent you with all the answers, but I don't know, you can play around on see if you can find
The
it.
KW, the university? Yeah.
Yeah, KW
KW.
University, KW
Yeah.
Connect.
Okay.
On one
I
of
don't know.
KW.
I don't think I have an account set up yet.
Okay.
So I probably got to go. Do I have to go in and do that?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you
No, you don't have to. You can
don't have to go
email
into the
Lu-
market center.
yeah.
No, you can set it up. I don't know. You have to talk to Sarah. It's been 4 years, right? I only did it once.
Fair enough. I'm just taking notes today. I'll get it set up.
That'll be fine. All right. So our first term is list price to sales price. What is that and why is that important?
Because it's negotiable.
Okay. Yeah. And what are we talking about when we say list price to sales price?
We're
What
talking
it's,
about. Oh,
Go ahead, Jason.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I think you beat me in. You go ahead, Jason.
List price is what the owners are asking for it, you know, and then the sale price is what it's actually going to sell for.
Very good. Okay. So when you guys are, and I'll show you this in a little bit, when you have access to the multiple listing service, you have access to a bunch of market statistics that's going to show you on a weekly basis what the market's doing. And so here in a little bit, I'm going to actually show you our TMOs, they call them, total market overview sheets that get sent out from the market center every week, that you can click on a zip code and look it up and see what real estate's doing. And that's one of the things you're looking for, is the list price to sales price. What is it? Is it 99%? Is it 102, 103, 104%?
Just chime in real quick.
Sure.
Friend of mine in Portland listed his house for $525,000 about 3 months ago, and they immediately received an offer for over $600,000 for the house, and it was sold within hours.
Yeah, it's crazy up there.
Yeah.
My sister lives in Canby, and she told me a similar story of a house that was in her neighborhood that went for, like, I don't know, $100,000 over asking price just within days. It's nuts.
Yeah, that's wild.
It really is. So why that is important is when we get to actually looking at sitting down with the buyer, let's just say, you're sitting down with this very lovely, senior adult couple who haven't bought or sold a house in 30 years. They're thinking of the way the real estate market was 30 years ago. And a lot of them have a very much a buyer's mindset, where they think they can get something for under asking price, and that they're going to be able to get all these different repairs negotiated. And you have to be able to give them the hard news that no, they're going to have to pay $20,000 over asking price and not get any repairs. So one of the ways you do that is up front in the actual consultation, before you get out there and look at any homes, is be able to set expectations. Hey, I know you guys have bought homes in the past, and this isn't your first rodeo. However, this is the market we find ourselves in, and here is why. And this is what it's going to be like when we get out there to find a house. You're going to have multiple offers. You're going to have to fight for it. You're going to have to be willing to do things that are a little bit uncomfortable or maybe even unconventional. And that winning in today's market is getting a house, not getting a good deal. Right? So, you know, probably 90-something% of our job is setting and managing expectations. So you got to be able to kind of figure out where somebody's at and how that lines up with reality, and try and bring those two together to get them into reality. That's a big part of your job as being that buyer's agent. All right, the next one is DOM, days on market. That's probably pretty self-explanatory. Just know that when you see that number, that includes, that's not just when it hits the market to when it goes under contract. That's from when it goes on the market to when it actually closes. So you'll see days on market of like 45, 52, things like that, which whatever number you see, you can back off about 35 to 45 days of processing to help you know kind of how fast that house actually went under contract.
And is closing the day they sign the contract, or after it goes through escrow and the sellers have received?
Yeah, closing is when after it's gone through everything, and,
Okay.
and the buyer and the seller have signed on the dotted line to transfer ownership and
Gotcha.
all that. So that's how they count days on market. It's a little bit confusing. I think it would be better to track, when it actually goes under contract. But then you got average days on market. It's a total days on market of each listing divided by the number of listings. And then a couple more you've got there. BINS, BINS, stands for the Buyer Instant Notification System, which allows you to store search preferences and receive newly listed homes that match their search criteria from the IDX search tool on your website. So this has to do with stuff through command, when you get into command and start using it. And then the last one is IDX, and that stands for Internet Data Exchange, which provides consumers with access to your local MLS right through your website. So once you have a website, let's say you're a solo agent and you're going to be able to have a website and put your listings on there, you'll be able to call our local Willamette Valley MLS, fill out some paperwork, and get your website connected to the MLS so that the listings from the MLS can just be plugged right into your website. All right, moving on. Market statistics. Becoming the expert that your buyers rely on by having local market stats at your fingertips. Your buyers will need your expertise in order to make informed decisions when it is time to make an offer and negotiate. All right, you're going to want to keep these statistics updated on a monthly, weekly, or even daily basis. It's your job to know the numbers. So, like I said, for me, I get the weekly TMO reports from our market center, and I take a little bit of time to glance through at least the zip codes that I'm working in or I'm interested in or whatnot. and see what the market's doing. Because once you get into it, you realize things fluctuate from week to week, month to month. And what you don't want to have happen is to just get used to the way the market is and keep doing those same things and realize, oh, the market's changed and what I'm doing is no longer effective in getting my offers accepted. So staying on top of it is going to be key for your buyers and for your bottom line. All right, so you want to keep track of those list price to sales price ratios that I told you about. You're going to want to keep track of average days on market in different price ranges. Keep track of the number of homes on the market in those different price ranges. You know, in all of these areas, we've seen really big changes in the past year or more. And then obviously price trends. You know, seeing how quickly are homes appreciating. So again, so you can let your buyers know why they don't want to wait next month or 3 months or 6 months. You know, if what you can do is drill down on that. Well, I'm waiting to buy this spring or this summer. Well, you know, what about the springtime is important to you? Well, it's just, you know, it's the time when all the houses come on the market. Okay. You know, I hear you. It's definitely increased inventory. However, that also means that there's going to be an increase in buyers, and which means an increased competition. Is that, are you still interested in doing that? Or would you like to take advantage of jumping in now and beating the crowd to the listings? You see, there's always an advantage and a disadvantage to every market. And when you listen for what they're saying, then you'll be able to know how to answer their objection. If though they're saying, yeah, I'm waiting to buy this summer because my last kid's graduating this next May or June, and then we're going to look at moving to somewhere else and sell my house, then you know, okay, they've got a good reason to wait, and I'm not going to change their mind, you know, with any market data. But I can then set a time to follow up with them when it gets closer to when their kid actually graduates. So that's why you want to drill down and find out what's important about why they're waiting. Okay, so I'm going to bring up, let me share my screen again. And where is my, just share screen. All right, let's get out of here. And go to my TMOs. All right, so I'm just gonna, we can open up a few of these, but I'm just gonna pick on Dallas since that's where I'm at. And here's what a total market overview looks like. So you've got your zip code up there in the upper left-hand corner. And if this is too small, I'll just point things out to you. So you obviously got your price ranges down the side. Your first column is the number of active listings, number of pending listings, and then the ratio. So you can see in Dallas that there isn't a whole lot for sale until you get up above 300,000. And really, even there's very little. And as fast as it comes on the market, it's going under contract. So really, you know, you have to get up to 400,000 before you have any kind of inventory, and even that inventory is 4 homes. Okay, or you look even farther down and you go, okay, I have to get clear up to 500 to 600,000. There's 7 homes sitting out there, at between 500 to 600,000. So that means it's a 36% absorption rate, and there's 2.8 months worth of inventory. You guys understand the concept of how we figure inventory? Does anybody have a question about that? All right, everybody's being quiet. So I will assume that you do, but just to give you a quick overview on inventory, the way we measure real estate when we're talking inventory with people is the idea that if no new listings came on the market from this day forward, how fast would the available inventory get gobbled up? All right, so that's going to be different in different price ranges in different zip codes, right? And so what this sheet is telling you is that from 500 to 600,000 in the Dallas zip code, there's 11 active listings, 4 went under contract. And so if there weren't any new listings, it would take almost 3 months and all of those homes would be gone. Yeah, Mike.
Okay, so again, is that date there the closing date, or is that's the closing date, right? The date that it would take 2.8 months for the 7 remaining houses to be sold and actually closed?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm assuming actually when they're counting inventory that they're saying those 7 homes are going under contract. They're no longer available.
Yeah, because when it says a month, that would be none.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So that's what you're looking at in those first few columns, and then as you go across, they've got expired listings, how many have closed in the last 6 months in these price ranges, then the original list price, the average final list price, the average sale price, and then the list to sales ratio. So again, if let's pick on 400,000, we're here at 400,000. In that range, well, at 4 to 425, the average final sales price was 413,814, and then the average final sales price was 416,226. So just above 100%, closer to 101%. And then your final 2 numbers are average days on market. So let's go back across there. Average days on market for solds and average days on market for actives. I don't know that I can explain to you the difference between those 2 numbers. I'd have to get clarification, but just look at let's see. I think the solds is going to be like your historical average of everything that's sold, and your average days on market over here, I think, is the things that have been active here in the last, right now, what's going on in the market. So it's probably more accurate to be looking at this number than this number, because this is going to be, well, if you see a big difference in the 2, that's going to tell you how fast the market is moving versus what it was doing previously. So any questions about reading the TMO? One of the things that you can mention to people if you're pointing these kinds of things out is when you give them a number specifically for inventory, is that anything between, 0 and 3 months worth of inventory is a seller's market. It's where there's more demand than there is supply, and so the sellers are in the driver's seat, and buyers are at a disadvantage. You don't have as much leverage when you're down in that range because they can just say goodbye and get themselves another buyer. And that's where we've been like the past 4 years. That's probably where we're going to stay for a while. When you get up to above 3%, when you're in that 3 to 5 or 6 month range, is more of what we call a neutral market, where there's some give and take between the buyer and the seller. The seller might end up having to pay some of the buyer's closing costs, or definitely needs to do some repairs, and there's some give and take back and forth between the buyer and the seller. And then anything over that 5 or 6 months, going up higher than that, you're in a buyer's market where buyers pretty much get to choose. They get to walk in and say, I want you to fix this, pinhole in the wall, and the sellers bend over backwards to fix up their house and make it all beautiful and do all the repairs and do everything for the buyer. But don't know that we're going to be in that kind of a market anytime soon. But anyway, those are your kind of 3 general markets and kind of where things break down inventory wise, as to it can kind of tell you how you can negotiate, how strong you can be with the seller, yourself, and then how to manage your clients' expectations. You can let them know, hey, we're at 400 to 425. This is what things are selling for, between 100 to 101%. So a 30,000 below asking price lowball offer we can do that. Probably not going to get across the finish line. You can use some of these numbers to help your buyer understand what it is they need to do to get a house. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. Get back to not from the beginning. Why did I do that? That was silly. Head in the game, converting. Oh. Know your market research. All right, research your stats. Where to find local market statistics, page 18. All right, where can you find your local market statistics? Depending on the type of data, it could be online, your local title company, or maybe another agent in your office. So you've got a little worksheet there of which market you're going to research, what's the average sales price, the average days on market, the list price to sales price ratio, and the total number of listings. You've got about 15 minutes. And so any questions before I send you on this exercise? Does that all make sense to everybody? So just, you have to do some Googling online, see what kind of stats you're able to find and where. You're not going to have maybe, the advantage of already being able to log into the multiple listing service and finding it that way. But there's a lot of different websites and stuff out there. If you just Google stuff, should be able to find it. So just narrow down either an area of Salem or one of the outlying communities, whatever it is you want to research, and see if you can find out the market information on that local market. And we'll meet back in 15 minutes, which will be, it's almost exactly 3 o'clock. So we'll meet back at 3:15. All right, we'll see you guys in a little bit. How's everybody doing? You guys need more time? Oh. Hey, Liliana. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. All right, I know I said 15 minutes and that's in like about 4 minutes, but also know we have a ton of material to cover to get done by 4. So if you guys, let's just start wrapping it up and see what we came up with the time that we had. So who would like to start?
I will. I was having problems looking it up because I'm on my computer to watch you guys. So I was doing it on my phone, and I just went to the realtor.com and got the statistics for Southeast Eugene.
Okay.
And the average sales price here is 592,000. Average days on market is 42 days. The list price to sale price was 105%, and the total number of current listings is 29.
Okay. So what were your any ahas from looking up that?
They're selling really good for for decent price.
Right.
They're going fast.
Yeah, and not very many listings, right?
Not very many listings at all. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Very good. All right. Who wants to jump in next?
Now, how did you get that list price to sell price again?
Are you
Is that
asking me or the other person who just
oh, I was asking you.
asking me? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was getting it through my market overview that I just shared with
Okay.
you, but
Okay.
um
Because I was using my I was trying to use my TMO,
okay.
the one we got from our market center.
Okay. Yeah.
I just got it this morning, and this is my first time getting it too, so it's kind of still learning. So
Okay.
yeah,
So-
so this is the Northwest Washington County,
Okay.
and it's saying the average sale price is 7,300.
700,000.
Yeah, 700,000, 3,800, 874.
Yeah. Okay.
Did I say it wrong? Okay.
No, but I know what you meant. All right. So
Yeah. So it's like I use the bottom
well,
listing. Is that
I don't know how yours is formatted. Did it look similar to
it's actually the same? Yes.
It's the same.
It's the
Okay.
same like yours. Yeah.
Okay. So across the top are your
Yeah.
labels. And
Yes. I see it.
yeah, so towards the right-hand side, you're going to see, the price of like what the list price was, and then what the actual sale price was. The very next category is going to be a percentage. It'll show you a percentage, and that's going to be your list price to sales price ratio. You'll be able to see what it actually
got
sold,
it. The
what it
percentage.
was listed for, what it sold for, and then what the percentage was.
Yes. Okay. So it's talking about percentage, not an actual amount of dollars.
Right. I mean, you could, but the percentage is actually more helpful.
More helpful. Yeah. It's saying 101.9%.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. That sounds about right. Mike, what did you find out?
I found out I need a new computer.
All right.
Yeah, my internet was glitching out really bad. I got on Zillow. I actually have an account on Zillow. a user account, real estate pro, but not a broker account yet. I need to switch it over. But I saw in Salem it showed 198 agent listings. So I started to narrow in where the prices really were, the ranges.
Yeah.
Between 300 and 450, there was 55 active listings.
Okay.
Between 450 and 500, there's 87. So that kind of tells me that that's the big sweet spot right now.
Yeah.
Average might be 400, but there's a lot more listings in the 450 to 5 range right now.
Wow. Okay.
That's about all I got because I was fighting my
Sure.
internet.
Oh, that it sounds like you had an aha there of like, okay, that's where the bulk of the property is right in that $50,000 range.
Well, it's about 50,000 to 100,000 higher than I thought as far as what we're talking about averages. So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Very good. All right. Who wants to go next? Somebody jump in. Is that, let's see here. Who else do we have? Beverly, what did you find out? Are you around?
I actually have access to RMLS, so it was easy just to pull up the report
Okay.
on there. So, but I don't have my reading glasses, so I'm having a hard time reading it.
Okay. Okay. I get you. That's what I'm wearing right now. Yeah. So, okay, no problem. All right, so we're going to move quickly. I'm going to kind of pick up the pace and kind of blaze through some of this. There's pretty much two more major objectives that we need to accomplish in the rest of our time this afternoon. One is qualifying the buyer and setting the appointment, and then two, the actual buyer's appointment itself. All right, so on qualifying the buyer, I think you've got a list of things that are important. Obviously, price, motivation, location, wants and needs, their timeline, their finances, and their availability. So you've got a sample sheet, which is really pretty helpful. I would encourage you to use it, to have some copies of it at your work area, so that when you're talking to somebody and you're asking them some questions and you start qualifying them, you've got this sheet right there to be able to jot down your answers and just work all the way through it. So now I would say this: sometimes you're talking to a person and they only have a couple of minutes to be on the phone with you, so you might not be able to get all the information that you really wanted to get. You might just be able to get just a few items, and maybe you're going to be able to get the rest of this filled out like at the beginning of an appointment with them. So here's a couple of different ways to approach that. I think the bottom line is you want to get to an appointment as soon as possible. Maybe even if they're not pre-qualified or pre-approved, okay? Because if they will say yes to meeting with you, chances are, statistics show that they're probably going to sign with you, and you've probably already won the debate if they say yes to an appointment. Okay, so even if you were to have somebody come in and like what you were talking about, Beverly, where you were showing somebody a house and they're not actually pre-approved, I try to make sure that my buyers are pre-approved before I meet with them, just letting them know that it's going to be more helpful to our conversation in the appointment to know exactly what we can be looking for home-wise. Most people have a general idea what they qualify for or what they can afford, but but sometimes people think they can afford more than what they can actually really afford. So anyhow, it's just more helpful for them to know that they're pre-approved, they know what they can shop for, and that way we don't start looking at homes that then we have to say, oh, sorry, you can't buy that. That's, you know, not very fun place to be. So definitely try and get them connected to a lender. And like I shared before, make sure that you're staying in control of that process and getting permission from them to have the lender give them a call. But two, don't let that hold you back from going ahead and setting that appointment. Just make sure you make it really, really clear. We can't go and look at any properties until you're actually pre-approved. So if that means setting the appointment out a week and saying, hey, in the meantime, let's get you pre-approved so that we're ready to go out right after our meeting together. Or even if it's in the consultation itself saying, here's your first step is to go get pre-approved, then we can look at homes. Just you're going to have to set that as kind of a standard, because you don't want to take them out and look at homes without that pre-approval. One, it's just a waste of time. Two, you can let them know no seller in today's market is going to accept your offer without a pre-approval letter. They're just not going to take you seriously. So they've really got to have that. And then that's what helps you in the appointment when you actually go to look at property. Let's say they're pre-approved at 400,000. Well, in today's market, if you already know that homes are selling at 102% in the area that they're looking for, then I'm going to share with them up front that even though they're pre-approved up to 400, they're going to likely have to go to 410, 415,000 in order to get a home, which means we can't be shopping at 400. We need to be shopping at 480, or 485 at the most. So even helping them set their expectations around that, let's shop around 475 or 480, or excuse me, 375 or 380, and get significantly below 10, 15, 20, 25,000 below what they're actually pre-approved for. Does that make sense? Because you got to give them that cushion to be able to go above in order to get the house. Okay, so you're going to work through those worksheets when you're talking to people. Try and get as many of those questions answered as possible and move for the appointment. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the LP Mama script, but I'll share it with you real quick. If you just write the letters LPMAMA down the side of whatever paper you're writing on, I'll share that with you real quick. It's a really easy acronym. It's something that you could pin up on the wall in front of you when you're making calls, so it reminds you of what questions to ask. So the L is location. Where do they want to live? The P is price. How much can they afford? The first M is motivation. When can they move in? When do they want to be in their new home? 4 is the first A is agent. Have they been working with another agent? You want to know that up front so that you don't get yourself into trouble. Now, if they say they're working with another agent, you can ask another clarifying question, because you will find that about 90% of agents out there will not use a buyer broker agreement, and they have a buyer, but the buyer's not actually signed up with them. It doesn't have any legal documents to prove that that's their buyer. So even if they say, oh yeah, I've been working with this agent, okay, well, maybe an agent's been showing them homes, but chances are they haven't actually signed any paperwork. So that would be your follow-up question. Hey, do you have an agent that you've been working with? Yes. Okay, well, I'm just curious, have you actually signed paperwork with that particular agent? Well, no, I don't remember signing any paperwork. Okay. Well, are you happy with their service? Well, we've been looking at a lot of homes and I've put in, 6 offers and I haven't gotten a house yet. Okay, well, I'm not here to talk bad about your realtor, but here's what I could do for you. Or why don't you get a second opinion and let me share with you how I help my clients get into homes without having to put in 6 offers and spend 6 months doing it while the price is going up. All right, your next M is mortgage. Have they been pre-approved? And the last A is appointment. Close and set the appointment. Now, in setting appointments, I would encourage you not to use the word appointment. A lot of people think that that's kind of formal and it ends up being kind of scary for whatever reason. So when could we get together? Even using the term a consultation is, for whatever reason, less threatening to people than using the word appointment. So that's just my personal advice there. So yeah, you just have this conversation, work through that natural flow of questions, and then set the appointment. And again, you always give them 2 time slots. One, it just for ease of setting the appointment, it gives 2 definite possibilities that they could choose. If they say neither of those work, well, then you can look at your calendar and give them 1 or 2 more. But what you don't want to do is just say, oh yeah, my calendar's just wide open. Because even if it is, it gives the impression that you're not doing any business, which means you probably don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean? So you don't want to give that impression to this person that you're trying to get signed up. So even if your calendar is wide open, still better to just go ahead and give them a couple of time slots. Helps you stay in control of your calendar and picking the times that works best for you. And a little bit more to say on that is, here's where it comes back to mindset. You have to decide, am I the real estate professional who has valuable information and the ability to help them through a somewhat challenging process, or am I a door opener that can fill out some contracts and get a paycheck? Because what happens if you're not careful is that buyers can run you ragged. They can be somewhat demanding in this fast-paced market about, you just got to drop everything and show me this house. And you might be doing something with your family, right? And then you feel this obligation to have to go drop everything and show this house. And if you do that enough, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to build resentment with your family, and it's just not going to go well in the long term. So there's a whole mindset around, and I don't have the time to share it with you today, but the idea is that you stay in control of your calendar and operate from a mindset of abundance, that you don't have to be, you don't have to just chase buyers around and fit into their schedule. They can fit into yours just as easily. Especially if you just put, again, it's just about managing expectations. You can say, hey, I keep normal business hours, and if I need to have an appointment or show a home in the evenings or weekends, that's by appointment only. Meaning they're going to have to call and schedule that with you, and you have the ability to say no, right? So most of my appointments that I do with my buyers are in the afternoons between 1 and 5. I don't typically do evening or weekend appointments, even on showings. I will meet with a client, and we'll right then and there, if they've signed up with me, we'll set a time. I'll explain why it's better to go out to take an afternoon off of work, and I'll line up whatever homes they want to see, and we'll go out in an afternoon, and I show them how we can get it done in one tour. Most of my buyers, I'd say probably at least about 7 out of 10 end up putting an offer and getting a house on the first time out. So I don't have to spend trip after trip after trip trying to show them home. So anyway, just sharing that with you. You want to stay in control of the process. So set your expectations, set your boundaries, and stick to it. All right, so when you're talking to a buyer, and not every buyer is a 10, right? Not every buyer is ready to go right now. And so you don't want to waste your time with buyers that aren't ready to go right now. Doesn't mean that you don't service them, doesn't mean that you don't call them or follow up with them or help move them along. Just means they're not necessarily ready to hop in the car right now and go buy a house. So you'll see that on your sheet for qualifying the buyer, there is a question. Question number 10 says, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 meaning that you must buy a home as quickly as possible, and 1 meaning that you're not sure you're really going to buy anything, how would you rate yourself? And they'll give you a number, and that's going to clue you in how motivated they are. Then your follow-up question is, what would it take for you to become a 10? And they'll, it might be a timing issue, it might be a financial issue, it could be a variety of things, but they'll give you some answer, and then you'll be able to tell right away whether that is an objection that you can have an answer to help speed things up, or whether or not it's something like, well, I'm going to retire in August, and is something that you're just going to have to wait for. But you want to be able to decide, who are your A buyers, who are the ones that are ready, willing, and able. Okay, those are the ones that you want to be putting in the car and finding houses for. And then your B buyers are those that are ready and willing, but they're just not able to right now. Something has to happen first, like they've got to sell their current home. They're waiting for a lease to expire. They need to get cash from a tax refund, or they're trying to improve their credit score, or whatever it is that they're working on. And then your C buyers are your, I'd buy something if it was the right house, or I'm just not in a hurry and we'd like to do this, but it's just not all super important. And, you don't want to spend a lot of time with those folks. You could maybe put them on a search, stay in touch with them, but definitely don't want to be wasting too much time on them. You also want to help explain the difference to buyers between pre-qualification and pre-approval. All right, so pre-qualification is simply a preliminary evaluation of how much the buyer can afford to borrow using the initial information that the buyer gives the lender. It's like, if these things are true, your pre-qual is this number, but they haven't actually given the lender all their information and actually really gotten a true pre-approval. So you want to make sure that your buyers have a pre-approval, not just a pre-qual. Okay, I'm going to skip over some stuff here about lender stuff. All right, getting the appointment. All right, now that you've qualified them, you've determined their ability, readiness, and willingness to purchase a home, it's time to close for the appointment. All right, so an A buyer, boom, you're ready to set that appointment and meet as soon as possible. The B buyer, you need to identify what needs to happen first and then help them achieve that and help get that done. You know, and then you're staying in touch with them and you're helping them move the ball. You're nurturing them along until they're ready to go. A C buyer, you're managing them electronically, putting them in your database, putting them on a touch campaign, and like I said, maybe an automatic search from your MLS to keep yourself top of mind when they're ready to move forward. So you've got a script there. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I'd like to invite you to come to my office so we can discuss what you're looking for in your next home and use the MLS to review properties. That way we can search for homes that fit your criteria. One thing to interject here that you can help them understand is that if they wait to look at homes on Zillow and Realtor.com and Trulia, they're going to miss out because one, there's a delay of when those websites get the market data from the MLS, and two, their information is not always accurate, and they definitely don't update their listings like they should. So you can, let them basically see that having a realtor is going to give them a competitive advantage on getting real-time, accurate listing data by meeting with you and being able to do a home search straight from the MLS. And then when we meet at my office, we can work together to make the most of our time. I can use the tools I've found to find the best matches for you and check for any contingencies and other details that would not be apparent from a property visit alone. I would not ask, are weekends or weekdays better for you? Like I said, I would give them 2 times that work for me and schedule it in the afternoon. If they say, well, I don't get off work until 5, then you choose. You say, would you be available at 5:30? Or you pick an evening that you do have available, or whatever makes sense for your schedule. But I've just found that, if it's important to people, they'll make time for it. They make time for doctor's appointments and dentist appointments all the time. Why wouldn't they make time for probably the biggest purchase that they'll ever make? You know what I mean? So help them have a higher view of realtors by having a higher view of yourself and having some high standards. People will rise to your expectations. If you have low expectations of yourself or of them, then it's the bold saying that you'll learn in Keller Williams: you teach people how to treat you. And that's usually right up front at the consultation. You'll set the tone for, they'll learn how to treat you. So you want to make sure that you're portraying yourself as a professional, that you know the process. They're going to follow you through the process, not the other way around. Does that make sense? All right, buyer consultation. All right, so here's there's a lot of good stuff in here that you can work through. I'm going to give you my 3-point sermon that I give my buyers in the consultation. It works really, really well. It's very simple, easy for them to understand, helps you move through the consultation in a timely manner and helps them not wonder, how long is this going to take, right? What comes next? So when somebody walks in the door, you know, they sit down at the table and you're ready to meet, I engage them in some small talk, get to know them a little bit, you know, try to build some commonality, and then fairly quickly move to, well, thanks for meeting with me today. We've got 3 goals this afternoon. Goal number 1 is for me to get to know your real estate goals, what's important to you, and to be able to build a strategy around how to help you achieve those goals. Okay, so that's where, if I didn't get all of those questions answered on that initial qualification, Dealey, those are the kinds of questions that I'm moving through, kind of like a nurse at a doctor's office kind of pre-qualifies the client, right? They get all your vital signs. They've got your chart and they get all this information, and they're going to hand it to the doctor, right? So the doctor can make the diagnosis. So essentially, that's what you're doing in the first part of the buyer's appointment. You're collecting all whatever data you didn't already collect on them. You're collecting the rest of that data so you can make a real estate diagnosis. You know, I've had a few situations where the person comes in and I work through the rest of that qualification, and I have to, I mean, you have to be careful. We don't want to tell people what they can and can't do, but I've had to have those hard conversations where I just go, well, based on what you shared with me, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to help you get a home, because here's the market data. And so my best recommendation would be to go back and save more money, or work on your credit score, or whatever it is, whatever your diagnosis is. So, you know, you could have a diagnosis like that where it's just not smart to move forward with them as a buyer because they're not a real buyer. So that's step number 1. All right. So goal number 1 is I'm going to get to know you and your real estate goals so that I know how to best help you achieve your dream. Point number 2, goal number 2 is for me to share with you how I work and what you can expect from me through this process, to review the home buying process, to go over the market data. This is where you get to talk a bit about yourself and about real estate in general in whatever areas that they're looking to buy a house in, and show that you're the real estate professional and that you know the process, how you're going to be able to move them from point A to point B. And set those expectations about what that's going to look like. And then the third point is really simple. And the third goal is, so what I would say up front is, like, I have 3 goals for our meeting today. Number 1, to get to know you and your real estate goals so I know how I can help you. 2, to share a little bit about myself and my team and the process that we use to help people buy homes. Going to review the home buying process with you, share some market data with you so that you're aimed with the most up-to-date information, so that you can make the best decision possible for your family. And then 3, if you feel like we're a good fit, and you want to hire me to help you find your next home, then I've got some paperwork for us to fill out, and then we can do a property search and look at some properties online and set up a home tour. How does that sound? And they'll say, oh, that sounds great. So I've just moved them through a 3-step process, and that helps me remember where I'm at in the appointment as well. I'm going to go through and diagnose them. I'm going to ask them all those questions and even try and drill down deeper on some of those questions and get as granular as possible, to get as much information as possible. And then secondly, like I said, and this is where, you know, you have to decide how you're going to work and where you're going to pull your information from and develop and practice your buyer consultation, is sharing about yourself, kind of sharing your value proposition, why they should work with you, what the process is going to look like, sharing with them some of the market data that helps educate them and inform them about what to expect when you go out, and all of those things. And then when you reach the end, you're able to say, okay, so do you want to work together? And they say yes. And then you say, okay, well, I've got a few forms here that I need you to fill out that my broker requires. Okay, so you move to, I don't know, do they have them in here? Let's see here. So here's some scripts. Needs analysis. Well, your needs analysis, that's what you're doing in point number 1. Buyer consultation, putting it all together. Okay, well, how much time do we have left? We probably have time. Let me get out of the slideshow, and I will actually pull up let's see, where would I find it? I'll just pull up one of my documents. Oh, no, it's not going to be. Let's go. English Realty. We'll do an old one. Buyers. Okay. All right, so you see that I've got 4 documents there. I've got the buyer representation agreement. I've got a disclosed limited agency agreement, electronic funds advisory, and the OREA disclosure pamphlet. OREA disclosure pamphlet, as you well know, is kind of the first thing that's required for you to share with a prospective client. It's a consumer protection piece that basically wants the consumer to understand these 3 types of agency. So I basically just explain that, and then I refer them. There's duties and responsibility of a seller's agent, and I move them down here to the second page, duties and responsibilities of a buyer's agent. Read through this and let me know if you have any questions. They read through it. It's self-explanatory. They never have any questions. And then I say, what's more important is that you understand what disclosed limited agency is. And I walk them through that. And we probably don't have time today to go into all of that, or I'd use up the rest of my time on trying to describe disclosed limited agency. Hopefully you got that when you were studying for your exam. But you need to be able to explain that to the buyer and why it's important to understand that up front, because even though it's rare, it does come up. And you'll need to know, if you join a team, you'll need to know what your team's policy is around that, what's okay and what's not okay, that type of thing. And so that's the first one that you go over. Then the second one I go over then leads right into the permission form, or what we call the DLAB, okay, disclosed limited agency agreement for buyers. So you're moving right into just explaining, I need your permission on the second form in order, if one of these situations arises, I need to know whether or not it's okay. So they're read through this, they check may or may not, they sign. That's the second one. It's just the permission form, basically. The third one's the most important, the buyer representation agreement. And I don't know about about you. I hear that a lot of agents don't use these. I don't know why. They've got this weird thing in their head. It's like you use agreements for listings. Why wouldn't you use an agreement for a buyer? Why would you just put a buyer in the car and truck them around and waste time and energy without having a clear agreement for how we're going to work together? It just sounds like too risky. And you just leave yourself open to them going to working with somebody else. And I want to know, one, I just want that agreement up front. I want to know if they're really going to work with me, because I'm going to work for them. And I want to know that they're going to work with me and we're going to help them buy a house. So again, it goes back to your mindset of what your expectations are, whether or not you see yourself as worthwhile. You know, do I have the you know, do I see value in myself and in my time that I'm going to have this standard, or am I kind of operating from a position of weakness and scarcity where, oh no, if I expect them, if I have these higher standards, I'm going to lose these buyers and they're not going to work with me and I'm not going to get a paycheck. So just know, my 4 years, I've always used a buyer's representation. That's what I was taught from day one. Very, very few buyers will not sign one of these. And if they won't sign one, they're the kind of buyers you don't want to work with. Okay, that's what I found to be true. So 90-some% of the people out there are going to sign one of these, and it's going to give you peace of mind, and it's going to give you clarity around what it is that they're actually hiring you to do. People sign agreements all the time when they hire contractors. They hire a plumber or an electrician, they get a bid, you know, and they sign it and authorize a person to do the work. It's no different. So sometimes agents and buyers get funny notions around these buyer broker agreements. And what I tell buyers if they're somewhat reluctant to sign, or if they give me the objection, well, you know, I want to be able to work with multiple realtors. Well, here's the reality. When you say you're working with a bunch of realtors, or you say that you've got a bunch of realtors working for you, the reality is you don't have anybody working for you. Because unless you've signed one of these, they're all working with people who are actually going to buy from them, not somebody that they just set up on a search. You're not that's what I tell the buyers. You're not top of mind of any of those realtors, because they don't have any assurance that any of the effort that they're going to do is going to pay off, that you're going to buy a house with them. So the one way that you can actually get somebody to be top of mind and work hard for you is by signing the agreement that you've actually hired them to do the work. So the agreement's pretty simple. You've got the term, which usually, just like on the listing, I'm signing a buyer for a 6 month term. I figure if I can't get them a house in 6 months, I'm either going to lose them as a client, or I have the opportunity to re-sign them. But anyway, I sign them for 6 months, and then you can see here under property, this person was looking in a pretty wide area, so I just put mid Willamette Valley. The thing on writing these is you want to write them as broad of parameters as possible. You don't want to get too narrow. I almost never put in special features. And then you want to get as broad of a price range as possible, even going up above what they're pre-approved for, and just letting them know, hey, it's not that I'm going to, try and push you to buy something you can't afford. Again, this is just a range that we can then look within to buy something. So you put in location, price range, maybe what loan type or types that they qualify for. And you move down to compensation and commission. Now, you'll see on most listing sheets, probably 90% of the listing sheets are going to say that they're passing on 2.5% to the buyer's agent. That's pretty typical. So that's what I put. I mean, that's totally your choice. It's your business. You do what you want. But I feel like I'm worth at least the 2.5%. So if it's 2.5 or above, they don't owe me anything. But I let them know every once in a great while, somebody's going to do work with a discount broker, and they're only going to be passing on 2.25 or 2% or even lower. And if that happens, it's very rare. If it happens, then I've got a process where I share that with them up front. And then they can decide whether or not they want to actually go see that house. I actually developed a form and I have them sign off that I shared with them that there's a gap in the commission, and that if we get this house under contract and we get to closing, they are going to, part of their closing cost is going to be funding the gap in my commission. So again, you got to have some standards and realize that, you don't work for nothing. And every once in a while, you'll find a property that doesn't give you adequate compensation, and you got to know how and be willing to stand up for yourself and your family and decide what are my standards going to be. Am I willing to go after that? And that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot to do on the second page. They kind of read through that. They sign at the bottom, and it's really pretty painless. It's not that hard to put it in front of them. If you've already walked through that appointment and you've shown them that you know what you're talking about, you've diagnosed their situation, you've shown them the market data, you've got the process, and you've held out the candy, which is looking at homes, till the end. Don't show them homes at the beginning. They're not there to look at homes. They're there to, you're there actually to interview them and find out if this is a person that's a ready, willing, and able buyer, and is it a person that I want to work with? And they're trying to decide, are you the person that they want to work with as well? So that's what you're really there to do. And once you've then decided that and solidified that, now we're ready to look at homes. So then I'll do a property search based on their criteria, and I'll give you another freebie. Okay, this will help you in more situations than you know. You'll want to write this down. There's only 3 things that we can change in real estate if we're not finding what we're looking for. Because what you'll find is that people always have more expensive tastes than what their budget can afford, right? So if we're not finding what we're looking for, then we can only change 3 things. 1, we can change location. 2, we can change the price point that we're looking at. 3, we can change the home itself, or change our expectations around what kind of home that we're looking for. Those are the only 3 things that we can change. And so what you don't want to do as a realtor is just let that seller shop and shop and shop and shop and shop. And then eventually they're going to blame you for not getting them a home. And the reality is they're chasing an imaginary home that doesn't exist. The big, beautiful 2-story farmhouse on 5 acres, out in Maclay does not exist at $350,000. It doesn't exist. That's an imaginary home. You will never find it. So that's what you have to help do, is help adjust people's expectation and match up those 3 things. And by sharing that with them, you're able to take away the potential conflict or confrontation. You're just able to address it up front and say, okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we didn't find what we were looking for on this tour. Which one of these 3 things would you like to change? Because we don't want to just keep repeating the same search over and over again, hoping that we're going to find it. Because if it doesn't exist right now, it's not going to exist in the future. we've got to change something in order to find it. So they'll say, oh yeah, I want to change the location, or, you know, in actuality, I don't have to have this feature or that feature. I'd be okay with this, you know, and then you can change their search parameters and see what you find. But that's a really important tool to use with your buyers so that they don't just keep shopping for an imaginary home that doesn't exist. Okay, we are at 4 o'clock, preparing for your next class. You've got your Ignite sheet for the things, your daily 10-4, extend your learning, do your follow-ups, grow your database, all that stuff that you're working on. Any last minute questions for me?
Yeah, I put it in the text or the chat. Can you share that gap form? Is that something you'd share?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I can send that to you. Does anybody else want that commission?
Yeah, I'll take
gap
one.
form?
I'd like
Yeah,
one.
I'll take one too.
Oh, want one? Okay,
Thank you.
so let's see if people talk about sharing stuff in the chat. I've never done that before. There we go. Oh, wow, this is cool. This will be a first for me if I'm able to do this. Okay. All right, so where did I save that sucker? Here. And then some resources, real estate forms. There we go. Commission acknowledgement form. There it is. There it is. I did it. Okay. Now you'll just have to change the heading. There's nothing special about it. Remember, it has to be done before you start talking about putting an offer together, because you can't talk about commission and an offer at the same time or after the fact. It's against the law. Okay. So, like as soon as they send you a property, hey, can we go look at this property? Make sure you're looking at that commission. And if it's not there, then you can text them or call them or say, hey, this is the commission. And before we go see this house, I'm going to send you this form to electronically sign. And then basically that form, if I can open it up here, you're just going to fill in the amount that you work for, the amount that's actually being passed on, what the gap is, and they sign it, or you put like the MLS number and the address of what the property is, so that it's real clear what. So all you'll need to do is put your own business name or team name or whatever on the front of this. Come on, open up here. There it is. Okay. So we acknowledge that the following properties are being sold at a commission rate of blank. You just fill it in, write in the MLS numbers. We acknowledge that Tim English of English Realty at Keller Williams Capital City alerted me or us to this information prior to writing an offer. We understand that we are responsible for an additional blank percentage in closing costs as agreed to on this date, blank, and they sign it. And then when you get that house under contract, you're just going to share that with the escrow officer along with your regular commission demand, so they can see why you're charging more than what the actual commission rate is. You also want to share that with their lender to make sure that they're going to have enough cash for closing. So
Excellent.
there you go.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys. Great class today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for your
Lots of
time.
information.
My email is timothy.english@kw.com. if you have any further questions, I'd be glad to answer them for you.
Great. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. See you all later.
Bye.
See you, Mike.
See ya.